Therefore, the guide decided that his wife should not participate in this dangerous adventure for her own safety. Therefore, intended to dissuade her from attending the coronation. If they stay away, they will be untouched. The Empress was preparing to leave for the capital when a maid came to her with the message that Master Chen Hai wished to speak with her. It turned out that by following the Empress's instructions, they were able to uncover the Huang family's plans. Master Chen Hai reported that a small amount of yellow ore, known as explosive firestone, was found in Wang Jia's shop. It is safe in a single instance, but in large quantities it can cause a large-scale explosion, which can lead to a large number of victims. He suggested cancelling the event, but the Empress responded sharply, stressing that no ruler had ever cancelled a coronation, and this would not lead to more discontent. The Empress understood that if she cannot deal with her own family on her own, how can she guarantee the safety of all citizens? Besides, it will free their hands even more. It was time to let the family know who was in charge, and besides, she dreamed of seeing her husband during this event. The Empress, going to dinner with her husband, ordered the cooks to prepare the most delicious sweet desserts, although she herself preferred a sour taste. The table set for this special dinner looked like a real feast of taste and luxury. The variety of desserts on it was simply mesmerizing, from cakes to unparalleled chocolate masterpieces that bore the stamp of skill and passion. Being a devoted fan of his lover's culinary creations, Li Yun couldn't think of a better way to end the day. Noting the abilities of his wife, he felt how the culinary masterpieces became more exquisite with each passing day. His happiness knew no bounds, and Li Yun was only amazed at how much she was developing in this art. During dinner, the Empress surprised her husband with news. It turns out that she agreed with her friends to go tomorrow to watch the exit of the Empress, which shocked the boy. For Li Yun, this was a real discovery, because he had not previously known that his wife had friends. Despite his surprise, he decided not to interfere with their communication, trusting in a happy turn of events. The man understood that she rarely communicated with other people, so he did not want to forbid her from attending the Empress's exit. Although he did not support this venture, he set one condition. He plans to be close to her to be able to protect her in case of danger. That night he was troubled by insomnia, and he lay thinking about the situation that had developed and tried to think of how to get out of it unscathed. Waking up the next morning, the immortal did not see his wife nearby and realized that he had woken up too late. Quickly gathering himself, he went to look for her in the crowd, which was a very difficult task, considering the number of people around. But as soon as he appeared, the music sounded. The guards began to take out the carriage with the Empress, who was hidden behind a thick curtain. Only her figure was visible. In the clouds, people whispered about the incredible beauty of the Empress, wondering how rarely a woman can ascend the throne. The best concubines of the harem envied her beauty. As the bed with the Empress was carried past him, the immortal noticed that the shadow behind the curtain was turned in his direction, as if looking directly at him. He already had time to think that because of his lateness, his wife had gone home, and he already intended to leave this place. At this mysterious moment, when the air was filled with the smell of blood and acrid horror, alarmed screams were heard around. A wounded servant entered the scene, begging for help, his body covered in blood, and the bodies of dead guards lying on the ground. The mysterious image of a masked man appeared, holding a sword, and his army carried a bag with an explosive firestone. They masterfully manipulated it, like artists with their own art of destruction, having the ability to tear down half the city. The fingers of their hands, burdened with the responsibility for the life of the Empress, tightly gripped their weapons, and their masked commander was as evil as the devil himself. The main goal of these scoundrels was only one: to destroy the Empress and take power in the country under their wing. When the head of security, Chen Hai, accompanied by an investigator, arrived at the scene of the brutal murder of the Empress's guards, they were surprised and enraged by the effects of the gruesome torture marks. The investigator, throwing weary glances at the dead guards, identified traces of impressive cruelty on one of them. The investigator noted that the killer could have ended this man's life with one blow, but deliberately avoided impacting vital organs, leaving him to die in terrible agony. A look of indignation and displeasure was clearly displayed on the head of the guard's face as he set about investigating this heinous crime. He was tormented by doubts whether this could be the work of the rebel leader, but a deep thought indicated that the culprit was more cunning and problematic. In particular, this person not only had a high level of strength, but also fluently knew how the 6 doors were arranged, which was a direct challenge to the power of the Empress. Such recognition of the hero of the stormy story made the chief of security think that their majesty could be threatened by an unknown and incredibly skillful criminal. The head of security, Chen Hai, moved quickly, angrily ordering the guards to begin a massive investigation. If his guesses were correct, it was Her Majesty who found herself in the crosshairs of a dangerous criminal under threat. This seemed incredible to the investigator, because the 6 doors were completely impenetrable even for the strongest warrior, except that he had suspicions that it could be the one who created this door, the former leader of the 6 doors, Lu Lei. According to history, Lu Lei was incredibly dangerous. He was a leader during the time of the conquerors. Even the emperor was afraid of him in those days. The goal was to suppress the uprising of the people. Therefore, methods of confrontation were created, which for a certain time quite successfully resolved the issue. Then Lu Lei was appointed as the leader of the 6 doors. The leader was distinguished by extreme cruelty, setting strict rules. Every violation of its laws led to large-scale devastation and punishments that caused innocent people to suffer. Under his rule, the capital turned into hell. At first, his methods really helped suppress the rebellion, but then the people decided to resist. To appease the people, the emperor ordered the execution of Lu Lei and sent 4 warriors from the 6 doors to destroy him. Lu Lei's strength was incredible, and he surprisingly single-handedly dealt with 4 of the kingdom's strongest fighters. After that, he mysteriously disappeared, and because of his extraordinary actions, he was called a demon. People distinctly called him the jade-faced Raksha because of his fearsome expression. Meanwhile, the immortal was strolling down the street looking for his wife when he suddenly ran into an old rebel acquaintance, Li Shui. She looked comical with a large backpack full of food on her back. The girl began to question him about whether he had met people who steal yellow glowing ore. The boy was stunned, as it seemed to him strange and similar to an explosive firestone. The immortal resolutely approached and began to shake the girl, taking her by the shoulders, demanding to tell where the intruders with the stone had gone. Running in the direction indicated by the girl, he did not find anyone. Then he flew with the help of chi energy, which carried him over the city and brought him to the square where the carriage with the Empress stood. The immortal flew headlong down and tried to negotiate with the attackers, demanding not to blow up the stone in the street because it could destroy half the city. However, the leader of the scoundrels only smiled sinisterly and struck him with a huge sword, from which fire blossomed. His appearance was almost without prudence, and he exuded evil and cruelty. The immortal tried to counter him, using his bare hands against his sword. A man with a scary face tried to destroy the boy, attacking him with a terrible smile, confident in his victory. Streams of crimson energy ripped through the air around him, but Li Yun dodged his sword, trying to convince his opponent to stop fighting. This confrontation irritated the immortal. The thief used methods that could harm his wife, so he decided to teach his opponent. A fierce battle raged between 2 of the country's strongest warriors, which was decisive for the fate of the country and the Empress as a whole. The thief was too self-confident and decided to show off his strength, considering himself invincible, but it turned out to be a failed plan. After the sneaky attack of the immortal, the enemy fell to his knees in front of the boy, exhausted, suffering from unbearable pain. What kind of martial art, he thought, but suddenly jumped up angrily and began to attack again with even greater persistence. His sword cut the air with red rays, as if dancing, promising imminent death. The opponent barely managed to dodge the number of blows. But then the immortal gathered his will into a fist and used his supernatural power, which began to pour out in blue streams through his palms. The thief only smiled, showing off his strength, but the opponent suddenly threw out his hand and threw him back. To punish the scoundrel, the immortal used the healing fist technique, which instantly flattened Lu Lei, but he was still on his feet. The next moment, the immortal delivered a final blow that flattened the thief, burying him in the ground and rendering him powerless and vulnerable. It was an unpleasant feeling for the thief because he couldn't believe that there was someone who could defeat him so easily. After their verbal confrontation, the immortal dealt with his guards by burying them in the ground. He grabbed a stick with explosive stones and threw it into the sky, trying to save the city from destruction. With this action, the boy set off fireworks in the sky, which was safe for citizens and destroyed the danger for the entire city. That evening, everyone in the city witnessed an incredible fire spectacle, without guessing who was its sponsor. The Empress watched this incredible beauty from the window and thought about where her beloved husband had gone. Meanwhile, in the square where the immortal stood, the guards were talking in whispers, unable to understand what had happened and who had the power to bury Locke and Lei alive. They believed that only one person could pass it, but they doubted that the leader of the rebels would help them. In fact, this battle was witnessed by the same girl who pointed out the theft of the stone and thereby saved the city from disaster. Now she watched this action with amazement from the corner, not believing her eyes that the dream goal was so close. She could not believe that the one whom she had been looking for so long was in close proximity, the leader of the rebels. Meanwhile, people went out to the square to continue the unexpected celebration, rejoicing that the horror was over. The boy wandered wearily through the streets, having lost hope of seeing her here, and did not understand why he could not find his wife. Suddenly he was called out, and he saw that it was his beloved, who asked why he was so upset. She joked that he couldn't find her because his eyes were fixed on a beauty, especially one like the Empress, to which he assured her that he only wanted her, and in fact, no one saw the face of the Empress as she always covered it. But suddenly, the girl who helped the immortal with the stone, Li Shui, jumped out and began to assure that the Empress is actually not beautiful. That's why she covers her face. At that moment, the Empress was so angry at the injustice of the girl's opinion of her that she wanted to kill her. The next day, all of the food that Li Shui gathered at the feast was unexpectedly confiscated by the 6 doors under the order of the Empress. The guy bought his wife sweets for the holiday, but she refused, as she did not like sweets, only desserts with a sour taste. While walking along the street, they also noticed a children's game, which interested the boy, and he persuaded his wife to play it. Catching fish turned out to be surprisingly fun. The Empress became very interested in the game, which seemed to be easy, but, in fact, required cleverness. The guy noted that he never saw his wife's friends, although he wanted to meet them, but he spent the whole day looking for her. There was a shout of the Empress warrior on the street, and passers-by were urged to leave the street, as a murder had taken place here, and passers-by should not interfere with the investigation. In the estate of the Huang family, Huang Lu raged. The reason was that his servants lost important reports that could reach the Empress. His son, Huang Duanzi, assured that he would resolve the situation. He has already hired the right person for this task. She turned out to be the high-class assassin, Bloodrose, or Luo Feiyan, who possessed incredible beauty and killer skills. The Empress that evening was actively interested in why the man had such torn clothes, and did not believe his excuse. It was her first expensive gift, and as punishment she took away his pocket money for 2 months. Waking up before his wife, the boy fell in love with her beauty, and immediately felt a feeling of love and tenderness for her. The wife looked so sweet and beautiful that the boy was momentarily breathless with delight and decided to kiss his beloved. The couple decided to have dinner at a restaurant where their friend worked, unaware that they were being followed. The wife was annoyed and did not understand why her husband was hiding so many secrets, which he stubbornly denied. Suddenly, a feeling of tenderness and all-encompassing love enveloped the young people, and at that moment the world ceased to exist for them until the waitress distracted them. They were distracted by the same tenant girl, Li Shui, who informed her that she was now working at the restaurant. The waiter advised not to order too many things because she might forget or confuse something. She promised to fulfill the order as soon as possible. The boy asked himself why the Huan family united with the rebels. Was it for the sake of the jade seal? Looking down from the 2nd floor of the restaurant, Li Yun saw the killer with his inner strength. He guessed that it was her. This was indicated by her good form, posture, and I also felt that she was injured. The killer could not understand who possessed such power that could take control of her mind and leave only endless fear in her memory. The girl felt that if she wanted to, the stranger could crush her like an ant with a murderous aura. She was aware that she had been warned, and if it wasn't for the reward the Huang family offered her for that job, she would have left this place long ago. The issue was that she needed to find the reports that had been lost during the last visit to the store. The last person to appear in the store was a young man, so she decided that it would be easier to find him than to kill him. Moreover, she already knew where he was, and was satisfied that he definitely did not possess the same energy as this monster. Let's meet this stranger, Lo Fei Yan, who was ready to do anything for money, from murder to cleaning toilets. Therefore, she watched the young people who were having lunch, who did not even notice her. But this was far from the truth, as the immortal had noticed her a long time ago and could not understand what this girl was doing on the roof of the house. The local cats decided to accept her as their own and flocked around, making sounds that indicated that they liked her. She managed to find out information about the boy, that his name is Li Yun, and he came to the capital several years ago. There are no records of his wife, not even her past. And everything would be good if they didn't look so inconspicuous. The couple decided to go to bed early, and this became a great opportunity for the killer to find the records, which she did in the house. The book was found too easily. The girl considered that she was very lucky, not noticing that the book was specially thrown to her. However, here the immortal crept up from behind, who, standing behind her shoulder, whispered words of greeting in her ear, exposing himself.
Reflexively, the killer got into a defensive position, deciding how best to defeat the boy, but he didn't give her a chance.
He understood that she was sent by the Huang family to find the diary, and she thought that she had no choice but to kill him since her identity was revealed. However, the boy advised her not to do this, letting her feel the warning again with the help of Qi, and now everything fell into place. Fear gripped the girl, and she realized that the monster that made her feel this was exactly this cute boy.